Here we now have the control panel for both the advanced and the professional models. Here we have the option to perform various functions manually. Of course, important functions always include the clutch, the pneumatics that respond accordingly, and the decision of whether to work with the rotary knife or the circular saw. In the main menu, we have the standard option to process batches by length, for example by entering a length of 1000. And the quantity, 15 pieces. Okay, now I would have already entered my order and could start processing it in series automatically, independently. Because we have a pneumatic clutch, I don't have to do anything else now except remove the sheets at the back. The next function of this machine, which is actually the most interesting, is the ability to enter, for example, a dormer again using various pictograms. But I can also enter a verge for which I could now, for example, set 8 meters, 30 degrees, and it would then look like this. In the same way, I can make a hipped roof with a middle section or a gable or even hipped roof peaks. As just seen, with the hipped roof, the program also calculates with a filler tile. So we start with the longest, practically along the center line with a filler tile, underlay, and can then work to the right and to the left. Accordingly, this is also represented in the graphic. If we go back to the dormer for a moment, and I have entered my angle in the dormer here, then the calculation program takes over, so just calculate once, and it gives me all the relevant data I need here. I also have a calculation of the material listed down here, so I can say exactly what my total length, running length of the coil is, or rather what the longest piece is. Or also the area, square meters, that will be covered later, and the corresponding material requirements for that. Then I can also change the whole thing via the cover width. We currently have a 50 millimeter coil in, so we have a cover width of 430. If I enter that, I get the 430. I can then add allowances for the fixed connection or eave connection. In this case, it was the eave connection. So now I'll say I need 40 millimeters for that. Oh, stop, wait, at the top. There I only need 30 millimeters, and at the bottom at the eave I need 40 millimeters. Then I can calculate my dormer, as I have it now, in new construction using angles. But I could also go into renovation and say, I don't have any angles, I only have lengths. Now I can adjust my length accordingly and say up here, I have 3.50 meters. And then I tell it to calculate. And it gives me the corresponding angle. Now I have a negative value here. Of course, I should have made this length that I measured longer. So then I'll carefully set it to 3.750 and tell it to calculate. So then it gives me the angle. Accordingly, I can also take a look at my dormer. It would look like this. Now up here at the end, the last course would end here. Here I can go ahead. If I don't want to do it by the covering width, but instead I tell it, stop. I have 7 courses, so I want to do it manually, and I tell it 8 courses. And click calculate. Then it tells me my installation width is 432. Accordingly, I could of course later set that on the machine using the width measurement. I say, okay, calculate, okay, back like this. And then it calculated everything right down to the last detail so that I end exactly where I want to end. Now that I have this finished, I'll go back here to the angle function. Length, angle. And now I'll enter my dormer, just like we did with the other 2 machines. And I'll set the top of the dormer roof to 10 and the bottom of the main roof to 30 degrees. Click calculate, stop, click. Right, now I made a mistake, I left it on manual. But we also want to go automatic because we don't want to cut and set the cover width to 430. And then I click calculate and my dormer looks like this. Now I go back to the table and do exactly what we did with the professional. Because I don't want to work out the last tip, I simply delete the last 3 rows. Okay, delete, okay. Now, I start again with my starter shingle, which I have up here. That's basically the whole program. And with that, I've calculated everything, and in principle, I can do everything that comes up on the roof with this program or these programs.